Hello, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's Postgrad Insight session. We were joined yesterday by Loughborough University London campus, last week by Liverpool Humanities, and today we're joined by the Edinburgh Business School, Heriot Watt University. Now, just before I hand you over, a reminder that today's session is live. If you have any questions, any concerns, any issues at all, please put it in the Q&A or the chat facility on Zoom. If you are watching on social media today, and this is being shown on Facebook and on X as well, please put your questions in a messenger facility to us, and we'll endeavour to get back to you, not on the post because we won't see it. But I'd like to now hand you over to Krista, who's going to be leading the panel discussion with Heriot Watt, and I will be back at the end for the Q&A. See you soon.
Welcome, everyone, and we're excited to be joining you here today on this topic of the 10 biggest business trends in 2024. So myself, I'm Krista Sol. I'm an assistant professor in operational research and analytics. I'm also the global program director for the MSc program in business analytics and consultancy. And my research interest is a lot in logistics, sustainability, and behavioral modeling, specifically using tools such as operations research and analytics, and a lot of simulation modeling. I'll now hand over to my colleague, Shai Davidov, to introduce himself as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shai Davidov. I'm an associate professor in the Edinburgh Business School, and I'm leading the strategic project management program, among other activities. And as well the sustainability stream in the school.
My name is Stefan Gaszewski. I'm an associate professor in strategy and enterprise at Edinburgh Business School, Heriot Watt University, and I'm also the global program director of the MSc Business Strategy, Leadership and Change. I have been working at Heriot Watt University for about 2.5 years now, and my main research interests lie in entrepreneurship, international business, and SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises. And I'm very happy and I'm very glad to be able to introduce the program to you all today. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Shai and Stefan. Well, now that you know a little bit more about us, the three of us part of this panel, why don't we go straight into sort of what we would like to discuss with you today. And I think the three of us will go through some of these topics and see what knowledge we can bring and share together. So this is 10 biggest business trends that are highlighted for 2024. And it's from an article published by Forbes where they predicted these will be the biggest trends. You'll see a lot of these are very technology focused. Some of them are also societal, but these are key areas where they say that we can expect continued innovation and also investment from companies. So, as I said, many of these are specifically focused on technology. And I think what we see here is that although we see this big technological drive, we also realize that there's a lot of limitations often to technology. And I think hence why we see a lot of the more human factor side coming in, like the soft skills or the customer experience. So maybe if we can start by looking at one specific trend, and we can, just hear everyone's thoughts on that. Maybe you can start with a big one, which is generative AI. So talking about generative AI, the Boston Consulting Group said that if you want to be an industry leader as a company within 5 years, you need a clear and compelling generative AI strategy today, starting today. Obviously, we know that artificial intelligence and machine learning has been around for more than a decade, so it's something that we all are very familiar with. But I think something that happened with generative AI is it's been allowing AI and machine learning to be in the hands of everyday people. And I think that's perhaps the main difference here, which means that it's not an exclusive tool available to only companies with a lot of money, but it's something that everyone can use and each type of company can be involved in. I wonder if Stefan or Shai, if you would like to comment a bit about your thoughts on, what is the usefulness of generative AI? How do you see this specifically also within your spheres of studies?
Okay, so I'll start. Well, I use ChatGPT on a daily basis. I use it for my daily life. I'm using it for work in the academia, and I'm using it as a practitioner. Same with colleagues that work in the project management field. It's very interesting because on one hand, it can solve really fast some technical elements and issue. It can think in a way about project management issues like delay or over cost runs or things like that. However, it is still have its limitations. Nevertheless, I think that practitioners and colleagues are currently afraid of AI and ChatGPT and all others. I get many questions like, what is the future of my profession? Will I be required anymore? Because, well, the machine will do everything. And the answer is no, the machine will not do everything. And even in project management, we feel and we see the trend of using AI to solve technical issues, but not as a proper decision-making tool, just as a supportive element. And I think that's the way it would stay.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good point you make. Even realizing that within the business analytics tools, you can easily give a data set to generative AI and say, well, what do you see here? What trends can you pick up on? But there might be some intricacies that they cannot explain because it's something that you as a human intuition, you kind of need that human intuition to be able to say, oh, well, actually, I see that it's not from hard quantitative data, but it's qualitative data that I know about my business that are actually influencing certain things. So it can give you an output, a very quantitative output, but for you to really interpret what the analytics is saying, you need some human understanding. So very interesting point you're making, Shai. Stefan, I'll hand over to you to hear your thoughts as well.
Yes, thank you, Krista and Shai. I fully agree with what you said about the importance of generative AI and also the increasing relevance of technology in the future. But at the same time, and also as Krista has mentioned, AI is not everything, right? We are still human beings, and especially when it comes to my program, the MSc Business Strategy, Leadership and Change, especially when it comes to leadership, right? We are human beings, and we don't want to be, we are not machines, right? So there's always the human touch. And especially recently, even though AI has increased a lot and IQ, we see also an emergence of EI, emotional intelligence, which is basically being able to show empathy to your employees as a leader and be a role model rather than being the smartest person in the room. So emotional intelligence, I think, even in the context of AI, is becoming increasingly relevant for companies. So how do you lead people? How do you motivate people? How do you make people become more resilient? I think all these are pertinent issues for leadership and also for strategy. And we see also in the context, especially in the past few years during the COVID-19 pandemic, where people were working from home, for example, and had lost that face-to-face or in-person touch at work and become more isolated, even though we had then Zoom, and what we are doing today actually is a good example. But still, some people miss that point, that human connection. And I think that will be quite important as a good leader, as a manager, as an entrepreneur, that you are able to use technology as a tool to lead people and to implement your strategy, because it offers a lot of opportunities, not only ChatGPT or also the whole notion of e-commerce, where you sell on the internet, even as a small business. It opens up a lot of opportunities. And it's not only for academics or students, they already start in secondary school. So my daughters are also using ChatGPT all the time, and they use Siri on a daily basis, Hey Siri, and so on. My wife is also using it. I'm using it as well. I also use Copilot. Maybe some of you know Microsoft Copilot, which is really good. It's almost the same, I think, the same ChatGPT or the GPT-4 machine behind that. So I'm not afraid of using technology. And as Shai said, there is some skepticism and I think that often stems from not knowing what is AI actually. And the sort of fear, the robots are coming and the humans are being replaced by something. But I think if you use it as not as a replacement, but as a additional helper in your daily life, in your academic progress, then I think it can be really, and it is the future. We can't really deny it. I think that's my opinion. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Stefan. That's a very good point. And I think a key thing here perhaps is that we need to build knowledge, on what generative AI and AI tools in general can actually do for us, and also in a business. That's something that's key, and that's very important, even for you going into a business place. If our students graduate, and we can teach them skills, and we can teach them how they could potentially use generative AI, but it's important not just to know how to use the tool, but to know what the tool is capable of, and to also know its limitations. Because at the end of the day, if you're using that tool for anything, you need to still take responsibility for that output of the tool, whether it's something you're asking it, whether you should drop a certain price of a product in your company. For example, if you give this data set, if generative AI is recommending you should, you still have to take that responsibility as a company. And I think the same holds true for any sort of application. And I really like what you said about using technology as a tool. And again, that's what it comes down to. We need to really understand how we can use this as a tool. So yeah, maybe sort of that provides with a good glide into the soft skills and human touch, because I think that's something all three of us touched upon when it came to talking about generative AI, and the importance of the soft skills and human touch. And I think it is because technology is and AI is becoming more feasible for everyone to use. It's more available, but we're realizing the importance, and also how critical it is that we actually harness the soft skills and the human touch. And we see that research show that businesses will have an increase in investments in terms of developing and nurturing those skills within their workforce. And they were specifically talking about emotional intelligence. And that's something that, Stefan, you mentioned as well. Do you have good communication skills to work in interpersonal problem solving within a company? How do you work together as a team? And then also strategic leadership. Those are important soft skills and trends that were actually highlighted within a business. And maybe I can, Stefan, go back to you, because I think it fits really well into your niche area of the strategic leadership. And if you'd like to comment and speak a little bit about that more, that would be great.
Yes, thank you. That was a good segue. Thank you, Krista. So EI, as I mentioned in my previous comment, is really, I think, really becoming increasingly important. And we see also a shift of senior leadership moving towards EI, emotional intelligence, rather than what it used to be in the past, in the 80s and 90s, where you focus on being smart and high in IQ, rather than having that empathy and that strong emotional intelligence. And I think given the increasing importance of AI and technology, actually that human touch and that EI becomes even more important, because otherwise we become a society dominated by machines, more or less. And of course, there's a big discussion at the moment also surrounding ethical issues about how we use data, about big data. There's a lot of data that companies have from us, like the Amazons or the Googles or the Microsofts. They have a lot of data from us that we share, sometimes willingly, sometimes unwillingly. But I think in that context, it is important that there is some discussion, what are the ethical implications of AI and how does it relate to us as a human in the society, and especially also how you treat your employees. And also we will talk about that a bit later about remote work or flexible working, or allowing people to work from home, these kind of things that have been also becoming more and more important since the COVID-19 pandemic. So I think for me personally, and also when I see my students in the classroom, when they talk about the human touch and leadership, they always say, they like to have in-person lectures. They want to see the face-to-face contact. They want to see also in the company, engage with employees, the famous water cooler effect, right? Where you have those chatting and spread rumors if you want to or not. But I think that's really important. And I want to say philosophical basis, I think that's quite important for us as a society, that we keep that human touch and we don't lose that. And, we keep our communication skills, how we communicate with people, rather not only with text or messenger, but also speaking, right? Even though it's quite rare that someone is calling you on the phone, it's usually by voicemail or voice message. But I think generally there has been a shift in the generations, how they use communication, right? If I may use my example of my two daughters, they are both teenager, 14 and 11. They don't call me, they just use a message, and that's just a different way of communication, right? And that's sometimes quicker. They leave a voicemail. It's also sometimes quicker rather than as it was in the past before the smartphone was invented. So I think also that whole notion of presentation skills, communication skills, that is an important part of Edinburgh Business School and of all MSc degrees, I think, right? Where you are doing group projects with other people from other countries, other cultures, and you work in a team as a group project, then you present often in some courses as a presentation, or you write a group report or an essay. And that is not always easy, of course, because you have different priorities, different ages, sometimes different cultures. But I think that's also one of the strengths of Edinburgh Business School. We draw a lot of students from different cultures, different countries. And in that way, you learn about yourself, about your own culture, but also you have the opportunity to engage with other cultures and even make some good friends. And a lot of our MSc programs are rather small. And that's not, I think that's actually a strength, because that allows you to foster and develop some strong relationships that go beyond the master's degree as an alumni of Edinburgh Business School.
Absolutely. Thanks, Stefan. I agree. And I think to add to that, as a university and as a business school, we're very much focused on that community and creating that community feel for students. And Shai, would you like to add anything to what Stefan has said?
Yeah, of course, I agree with every word. I think the shift is from more a technical or process-oriented to human relations. And I can see that again in my field and in my program, where the demand from employers is for more holistic approach from graduates, where the employers seek for those who can really diverge and leverage their skills and provide some kind of added value. And I would say that in project management in my field, the secret sauce is indeed the human relations. It's all about people, and we shouldn't treat people as resources. One day you can function 100% or even 110%, but on the next day you may perform 70% and even less, because we are humans and we have to understand that. And I think that really relates us, if I may, Krista, either to sustainability, which Stefan mentioned, the ethical aspect. And of course, we are talking about skills, but also we can also take it to customer relations and to diversity and inclusion and all of that, because at the end of the day, it's all about people.
Yeah, thanks, Shai. That's a very good point. And I think that lead us nicely to the customer experience revolution, which, I was thinking about while you were talking, both of you, Stefan and Shai, were talking, the whole idea that how companies previously structured around business processes, and how that shift has changed towards the human side. And I think in the same way, companies often had their business model focused on, something like high quality products, so only having high quality products, or focus on maybe having great values. So they focus on their business model and creating that. But I think in businesses, there's also been this change more to focus on customer experience, and to make sure that if a customer interacts with a business, every single time, every single interaction is a good interaction, is also a personalized interaction. And that links a bit with the personalization, one of the personalization trends that are on here, because I think they're quite similar in terms of how you handle, as a company, how you'd handle your client, where with personalization, it's this ability for a company to highly tailor experiences for each specific individual, whether it is personalized cosmetics to fit your exact skin type, or whether it is a custom shoe where you as a customer build that shoe. You have different styles, different colors, different laces. You can sort of have different features of the product that you can customize. And I think that whole idea of focusing on the customer helps a company also to build stronger relationships with the customers, and to really retain customers, and to try and create that loyalty from the customer side towards the company. And I think that's very interesting, the idea of a company personalizing also marketing, trying to figure out what is it that my customer need, but you need to get it to them at the right time. So at what point would they need what items? And if you're doing deliveries, that needs to be on time. If there's installation, that needs to be effortless, a seamless setup. If it's any problem that they experience as a customer, that needs to be efficient problem resolution that you bring about as a company. So again, going from, all these amazing technology tools that we have, but then realizing the soft skills and the importance of that also within the company, looking at your workforce, but also understanding it from the client side. If you're a business, you have to really understand the human factor in your customers. So let's see who would like to comment on that. Shai, you were quick there. Go ahead, Shai.
So happily, I can say that project management is having it in a natural way, because it's all about customization. Basically, you produce a project. Each project is aimed at a customer, and it's unique. So it always have been in the mind of the customer at first. But the shift is, of course, from just profit and scope to benefits and value. And this is what takes place now. It's all about the value to the customer, and even beyond. It's not just the organization or the company that asked for this project. It's about the end user as well. And once we understand that, we incorporate the end user needs and wishes in the project scope, then we may be delivered successful projects. And that's the idea. The customer is in the center.
Fantastic. Thanks, Shai. Yeah, and the idea of creating that value for the customer. It's amazing. Stefan.
Yes, thank you, Shai. I fully agree again with both you and Krista. And I just want to follow up on that last point about value and value creation, right? So also in the field of strategy and innovation is basically you create value. And we see using technology, we see more and more innovation, right? Every year you have a new iPhone. The latest just was released, I think, last month. And that is how companies can compete on a global scale. So the idea that you are able to develop new innovations that meet the needs of your customers, that you put them at the center, right? The customer is the king, as Shai was mentioning. So that's a really important part where you personalize your products, where customers have a lot of control over how they want their products. Say, for example, if you want to buy a Porsche car, right, you can say, okay, I want this tool, I want this dashboard, and then Porsche will manufacture a car according to the customer's needs and preferences. Or the same is also, you can also apply that to Dell computers. They have that business model for a longer time, right, where you order it online and you say, okay, you want this processor with this and so on. And then you can track the whole supply chain, and I think that's already taken for granted, right? When you order something on Amazon or somewhere, that you can see where the product is, when it's being shipped. If you are not available at home, that you say, okay, can you deliver it to my neighbor? Or you can say, deliver it to a safe place, in my garage, for example, in my house. Or you can also say, I want to pick it up from the post office. So there's a lot of things that are now available that put the customer in the center of everything, and that empowers the customer as well. So the power shifts basically from the company as the producer or manufacturer or the service provider to the customer, and that is basically the customer-driven marketing strategy that a lot of companies use, where they also then put a lot of emphasis on values, as Krista was mentioning before, right? The whole notion of CSR, corporate social responsibility, where you are not just a profit-making business, but you also contribute to society, where you give back to society as a corporate citizen, right? That also in a way that you are not just looking after the monetary function of a business, but also have a wider purpose, a wider philosophy. And that again is also driven by we see with the new Gen Z, I think it's called now, where they want to work for an ethical employer, someone who is looking, who has a strong value focus, who is looking after the environment, right, and so on. So I think that all ties in, where you have also much more transparency. So you can see easily what's happening with the company, and also because of social media, word of mouth can travel very quickly, either in a positive sense or in a negative sense. So if there's any scandal like it used to be with in the 1990s with Nike and child labor, I mean, that was a big issue. But if that happens today, that would be even much bigger and much quicker than it was in the 1990s before the internet. So I think just to sum up that point about customer experience revolution and sort of personalization, I think that is here to stay, because that is an important source of competitive advantage, how companies can differentiate themselves from others. And that's, I think, also the way, linking that to strategy, where companies can really make a difference and can create value for their customers.
Thanks, Stefan. And very interesting what you're saying. And I think something that came up for me there was also how if you're focusing on the customer also and what they want, the customer need has also changed a lot, that they're not just focusing on the product, but they care about the company who they're buying it from, and they would prefer companies who are committed to reducing environmental impact, who show diversity and inclusivity at the forefront, and I think for companies, and maybe just sort of as a last mention, before we wrap up this part of the panel discussion, how important it is for businesses to focus on that sustainability aspect, as well as the diversity and inclusivity. And when it comes to sustainability and being more green, I think that is becoming more affordable for companies as well. I think that kind of the solutions that we have available is becoming, like I said, cheaper for them. You have to focus as a company how you can do this decarbonization or be sustainable, how you can make that shift and transition in a way that's quick, in a way that's safe and that's cheap for you as a company so that you can still make some profit. And the importance of that, just realizing it. Maybe Stefan, Shai, do you have any final comments on some of these strengths that you want to make before we go into discussing more about the programs that we offer for prospective students at the business school, and show them how, you know, these important trends and skills are things that we also teach and equip them with during their time at Heriot Watt for when they go out into the workforce or start their own company or be part of a managerial position.
I have one really last point to wrap up what you mentioned about sustainability, Krista, and that's to let everyone know that the Edinburgh Business School is part of the Prime Initiative by the United Nations, which means that we are committed to implement and to teach the 17 sustainable development goals by the United Nations. And that means that in our curriculum, we embed actions, courses, and knowledge about sustainability, all kinds of sustainability. And of course, we practice that as well. And we collaborate with partners in order to promote sustainability. So it's really on our flag in the Edinburgh Business School, as a business school, as a responsible educator. Thank you.
Thanks, Shai.
Yeah, okay. So for me, maybe as a final concluding thought, one point that we haven't mentioned, but of course that is underpinning everything, or is probably an outcome, is resilience, right? And I think when we look at Edinburgh Business School and the different MSc programs, it's not easy. I mean, the programs are demanding. We have a lot of coursework, you have a lot of assessments. As I said before, you have some group projects with some people that you like, you may have some conflicts or difficulties, but in the end, once you overcome this after 1 year, hopefully, and you have handed in your dissertation, you also develop yourself personally and academically. And in that sense, you develop your resilience. And I think this is quite an important factor for you as a potential student. And also when you go out in the workforce, when you work for the company or you start up your own business, that resilience is really important, that you persevere, that you don't give up, that you deal with setbacks, because it's very unlikely that everything will go smoothly and as you expected. So be prepared that there will be challenges, be prepared that there will be some difficulties, but at the same time, I would like to assure you, there's a very strong community at Edinburgh Business School. We have really good support system, not only from the course leaders and the program directors, but also there's a very good counseling support, for example. There's a lot of clubs on campus which you can reach out if you are, different faith societies and so on. So I think there's a lot of things that you can use during your time at Heriot Watt for 1 year to enrich yourself and to widen your horizon. And I think that all contributes both to your personal and academic development after 1 year.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for sharing that, Stefan. Absolutely, I agree. And I think Shai also mentioned what might have been you about the holistic person. And I think that's also what we strive towards here for our students. So maybe this is a good point where we can start by talking a little bit and sharing about some of our programs. Hannah, if you mind. Yes. Thank you very much. Let's start first with Shai's program, the MSc in Strategic Project Management. Shai, if you'd like to lead us a bit through this and just talk a bit about specific aspects of the program, that would be great.
Thank you. So let's start with just mention again that we live in a very complex environment and very complex world. Probably you heard the term VUCA, volatile and uncertain, complex and ambiguous business environment. This is what we meet around us, which means that we need to do more with less. And this is where project management steps in. projects are a mean to create business transformation, to improve processes, to create change in organizations, and to create value or benefits. And we have mentioned that before. We definitely see an increasing demand for project practitioners, not just managers, but everyone that deals with projects around the world. And I can say that recent researches have shown that, for example, in Europe, in Eastern Europe, we expect 49% increase in the demand for project managers. In the Middle East, 39%, and in the Asia Pacific, 56% increase for project practitioners across all sectors and industries. So the demand is there. And here in the Edinburgh Business School, we have a unique program to provide our graduates with the skills that they require. Our program is accredited by the Project Management Institute, PMI, which is the leading project management professional organization in the world. It is also acknowledged by the APM, Association for Project Management, which is the leading organizations in the United Kingdom. Both those acknowledgement and accreditations really provide our graduates with the understanding and knowledge and security that what we teach is really relevant to what they're going to do later in practice. We have a unique approach because, as you can understand from the name, Strategic Project Management Program, we look at projects from a strategic point of view. And that means that it's beyond just processes and just technicalities. It's really about something that we have mentioned before, the human factor and the strategic factor that we want to find in organizations. So I'll review the structure of our program, but I want you to appreciate that based on this program and what it can offer you, you will develop strategic thinking and you will develop innovation and leadership and practice. You will come across businesses, case studies, simulations, and so on. The program is structured around 8 taught courses and 1 dissertation. Because it's an MSc, every student has to write or research a dissertation in the field of strategic project management. It can be really anything. It can be processes, it can be about leadership, human behavior, AI, everything that you can think of in relation to projects and organization. The courses are combined of mandatory courses and optional courses. The program is quite unique in the fact that we have more optional courses than mandatory. And this is really unique for this program. The thinking behind that is that project management is really holistic and it can develop to many ways and threads, which means that if you want to become a project manager in a startup company, you will take one certain path. If you want to work as a project practitioner in a big corporate, international corporate around the world, you will take another path. For example, you can focus on processes such as operation management, logistics, and project management. You can develop your human management skills by taking inclusivity, diversity, and human resources related courses, and so on and so on. It's all about merging between your optional courses, and each one of our students have the chance to talk with me, and together we can think of what is the best choice across semester 1 and semester 2 for the courses. Next, please. So, as I mentioned before, it's all about seeing the things or the phenomena in a bigger perspective, strategic perspective, we start from the strategic project management view, and then in semester 2, we drill in to the technicalities by learning project management processes. Leadership is another mandatory course that we want our students to take, and the reason is, of course, we discussed that before. It's all about leading people and being a project leader, not just a project manager. You will develop your presentation skills. You will work in groups, just like in real projects. Some of the groups will be forced upon you, so you won't have choice, and you will have to actually practice and sense what does it mean, group development and group evolution. You will simulate project environment by our simulator. We have a project management simulator, and you will meet some guest lectures that will come and talk from the industry. So altogether, a very, very promising, very, very deep, very unique program. And I really hope to see you. It's a very leading program in the school. And I really want to see you with us. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Shai. So if you would like to know more a bit about the Strategic Project Management program, please feel free to scan the QR code currently on the screen for details on application and more. Right, I think the next program, here we go, is the MSc Business Analytics and Consultancy program. That is my program. I'm Global Director for, Program Director for that. And yeah, let's talk a bit more about what this program entails, what it would mean for you as a student studying on this program. And similar to the MSc program in Strategic Project Management, we have the 8 taught courses, which you'll have 7 of them as mandatory. So there's a bit more of them that are mandatory because I think in business analytics, there are a few quantitative skills that you kind of need to have as part of this program. But you have some optional courses as well. You'll be doing a dissertation. Again, typically that will be over the summer. And I think key of our program is that you're taught data-driven, a lot of data-driven courses, such as business analytics, big data analytics. So it's all about how to teach you how to use that technology as a tool so that you can make that evidence-based decisions within a company, but also having some of the more human-related courses in mind as well, such as strategic change and management consultancy or systems thinking. So the courses are really taught with that industry need in mind as well, how to understand your customer, for example, and focusing or looking at the core focus. So it's about how to develop your business skills, your data analytics skills, and effective communication of those insights. So within the data and business analytics, we use several different software. But I think a key thing here is that within this program, we have students coming from different academic backgrounds coming onto this postgraduate program. And therefore, we try to start off by teaching you the basics first, using software such as Microsoft Excel, how you can use that data, how you can create visualizations from that data, and then later on teach you more maybe specific data analytics software such as Python. So there's this emphasis on the big data and analytics part, but also management consultancy and also the financial reporting. So in terms of the learning approach throughout the courses, we combine individual as well as group work, and the assessments can be in different forms. So whether it's written reports, presentations, and exams, and that's also to help you develop as a future business analyst and also a consultant of how to produce the outcome from these data-driven projects. Next slide, please. All right, and of course, we're trying to focus also on industry relevance, and therefore we designed this program in collaboration with an advisory board from industry to make sure that we align with the needs from the employers we are going into. And the key employability skills that we focus on in this program is that business strategy, the leadership, again, project management, change management, quality management. So it's that balance between having the quantitative skills, but also the qualitative skills and understanding people side, understanding management and consultancy. So the key skills that you will develop in this course is that understanding or ability to appraise the effectiveness of the business analytics and consultancy methods. So knowing the tools that we're teaching you, how to apply them, how to understand if they're effective, knowing which tool to use in which circumstances, and guiding that towards sustainability. So as we discussed previously, the importance of sustainability, and a lot of our work that we teach is also underpinned by that focus of a sustainable future. So you'll also be taught or develop skills and professional values to operate in a diverse team and to solve business problems in that diverse team. Maybe unique program features is the idea that you will be able to apply methods and techniques used by business managers in businesses where you in future might be using it, and you'll be learning how to do it already to address those business challenges. We teach you an array of different tools and techniques so that you put it in your hands, so that you have that equipment to solve problems in a data-driven way, and basically take the data that a company may have and provide knowledge for them from that. So if you'd like to know more about the program, I think there's another QR code. Here you go. There's a QR code. So please scan here for more details on how to apply, or if you'd like to know more details about the program, you're also more welcome to contact me by email. I can ask the facilitators to just put our email addresses in the chat as well. Thank you. Now I'll hand over to Stefan. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Krista and Shai. It was very interesting and useful also to know more about your programs. So my name is Stefan Gaszewski, and I'm the Global Program Director of the MSc Business Strategy, Leadership and Change, or in short, it's the MSc BLC for Business Strategy, Leadership and Change. So to give you an overview about the program, similar to the MSc in Strategic Project Management, our program in the BLC is also accredited. We are accredited by the Chartered Management Institute, or CMI, which is one of the largest institutes for managers and entrepreneurs. The big advantage of that is that we have guest speaker coming from the Chartered Management Institute, and they provide a lot of information, a lot of practical information for our students. And there's a lot of resources that you can use when it comes to also things like how to write a CV, these kind of things about your improving your soft skills. And then you have a lot of case studies that you can use. So you will be able to use these resources by the CMI because we are accredited. And the other big advantage of that is you will not only receive your MSc degree from Heriot Watt, but at the same time, if you pass all courses and your dissertation, you will also receive a diploma from the Chartered Management Institute. It's a level 5 diploma. You don't have to do anything in addition to that. So by just finishing and completing your MSc degree at Heriot Watt, you will also be eligible to get a diploma from the CMI Chartered Management Institute, which is an added bonus, and especially given that it's widely known in the management world, and also the potential networks that you can foster with practitioners, this can be very useful for you once you enter the workforce. So in terms of the content of the program, as I said, I mean, the name suggests we have 3 main topics in the program. So it's about strategy, leadership, and change management. And I think that's also one of the unique features of the program. I'm sure many of you, you are looking for different master's programs in the UK and other countries, but the combination of business strategy, leadership, and change management, I think, is quite unique. for me personally, I've worked now for about 15 years as an academic in different countries, different universities, but I haven't come across the MSc Business Strategy, Leadership and Change. That combination, that interdisciplinarity of that program, I think is what makes this program quite special and quite unique. Often what you will see, you have an MSc Management, for example, or MSc in Marketing, MSc in, I don't know, International Business, but that sort of combination of different areas that are complementary to each other, as I will outline in a minute, that is quite unique. And I think that's one of the strengths of the MSc program. And that's why I really like that program too, on a personal basis. So in terms of the core focus, what you will develop in the program, because it is quite a holistic and broad program, you will learn a lot of different skills in different areas in the context of strategy, leadership, and change. And as I said before, especially when it comes to things like leadership, AI and technology, and a lot of companies using change management because they have to change their business model, for example, as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. I think that's quite relevant and becoming, when we look to the future, also important. Innovation, right? Important part of change management and strategy. How to keep your competitive edge compared to your rivals. That's a very important part on an operational and strategic basis. So in a way, you will get an interdisciplinary foundation. So you have a lot of different courses from these three main areas of strategy, leadership, and change. And that allows you to sort of implement them and use them to your benefit. And again, this is all underpinned by a strong focus on practice, on our accreditation with the CMI. We have a lot of individual, but also group work. So that's common across all the MSc programs, including the business consultancy and also the project management. This is part of our philosophy, of our DNA, that we have a lot of group work. We are a strong community. And that's also part of reality in business, right? That you have to work in a team. Also sometimes in a virtual team, what we see, global virtual teams. So that's something for you to consider. At the same time, of course, there's a focus on individual achievement as well. So that's, you may have a report or an essay to prepare. In some courses, you also have an exam, a traditional exam. So you will see across the different courses, you have 8 courses. So that's common again across all MSc programs in the business school. And then you have a dissertation that you conduct over summer for 12 weeks. And in terms of the courses that you can choose, maybe you can go to the next slide. Thank you, Hannah. In terms of the courses that you choose, so you have required courses that's related to leadership, strategic innovation management, strategic change. These are all, and research, philosophy, and practice. These are all compulsory courses. And then you have a choice of optional courses. Again, as Shai said, there's quite a large number of potential courses, optional courses that you can choose. And again, that is deliberate. So you can choose, if you want to specialize in marketing, for example, you can choose international marketing. If you are more interested in entrepreneurship, you can also choose a course, business startup, right? If you want to know how to start up your own business, there's a special course on that. There's also, you can choose project management as an optional module if you want to have Shai as your professor. So these are a lot of different options that give you the flexibility to specialize and focus on some of the things that you want to know more about. In terms of the learning outcomes, so you will then have a critical evaluation and implementation of business strategy, leadership, and change management theories. Right? Of course, we have the practical approach and the practice-based learning, but of course, we are still a university, so the theory is also important. You will learn a lot of different strategic tools, a lot of strategic frameworks, but also, of course, not only the theory, but you also are then required to apply those theories and those frameworks to case studies in your dissertation, right? When you collect your own empirical data, and that is all part of the package, which will then hopefully prepare you for any management roles in the future in a company, whether it's a big company, a multinational enterprise, whether it's a smaller business, whether it's a family business, or in some cases, we also have students who venture on to start up their own business. And also at Heriot Watt University, Edinburgh Business School, there's a very good incubator, for example, after graduation, where you can apply to. There's some, at the moment, there's, for example, a competition ongoing, which is the Global Innovation Challenge. I do that with my students in my course. They can participate, and at the end, they do a pitch, right? So they develop their own business, and they can win, and they can acquire funding from the industry up to £5,000, which is quite a strong incentive. And actually last year, I think 2 of my student teams, they won £3,000. One team, I think, for the most innovative pitch, and yeah, so they are quite happy, and they are now currently trying to develop their business with the help of the funding. And you will see when you start, usually they start in September for 1 semester, the Global Innovation Challenge, that is held by the GRID, which is a part of Heriot Watt University. And you will have every week, you have workshops, you have guest lecturers who will talk about different aspects of how to start up a business. And that's, again, just to differentiate us from other universities, maybe we have a lot of different resources available. Also, of course, because of our location, being located in Edinburgh, capital of Scotland, probably one of the most beautiful cities to live in. So these are all sort of, I would argue, quite soft, but quite important factors to consider as well when it comes to choosing a location where you want to live and study for 1 year. Yeah, so maybe just to conclude, so you have here the QR code if you are interested to learn more about the MSc Business Strategy, Leadership and Change. And if you want to apply, you can just scan the QR code, and then it leads you there. It gives you a bit more information about the structure of the program, as I highlighted today, and also how you can apply, and also about the different deadlines to consider. So the next intake for all 3 programs will be in January 2025. If you are a UK-based student, the deadline is the 20th of December. And if you are an international student from outside of the UK, the deadline to apply would be the 6th of December. So with that, I would like to finish, and yeah, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time there, Krista and Shai also. We're just going to spend 5-10 minutes just talking about questions that have come in, and I think points that are quite important to run through as well. Stefan, apologies. I'm going to start with you because I think it follows on quite nicely from where we were. How innovative and how different is this? I'm going to call it a Dragon's Den style Global Innovation Challenge, because those are the international students that aren't aware of what Dragon's Den is. You basically in front of people, you're pitching, and then you're trying to get the funding for what you believe is right for your future career in your business. I've not heard of that before from anyone, so that is quite unique for Heriot Watt, which is fantastic. And presumably, when it comes to employability opportunities moving forward, that's massive.
It is, yeah, indeed. Thank you, Gareth. Yeah, so I participated in the Global Innovation Challenge last year for the first time, and actually it's not only open to students, also staff can do their own pitch. And I myself, I had my own pitch. Unfortunately, I was not successful in contrast to my students, but it is open to the whole Heriot Watt community. So you also have students from Dubai, students from Malaysia campus, and it's every week, every Wednesday, they have a 2-hour slot in the afternoon, which is streamed then on Teams, so that allows everyone to join remotely. But also, it's held in person in Edinburgh at the GRID Center. And basically, how it works, it's you have to apply for it first. So there's a short application, basically about your details, whether you have any idea for business. You don't need to have the idea at that stage, but then Once the program starts, it's for 12 weeks or 11 weeks. And each week they guide you through the process of how you can start up your own business. And as I said before, each week we have guest speakers from the industry, from practice, from the Scottish government, from banks, from entrepreneurs, from alumni, who share their expertise and their knowledge for free, basically, for 2 hours a workshop. All these sessions are recorded, so if you can't make one of the sessions, or if you have a lecture at the same time, you can also catch up and watch it in your own time. And the idea is that it gives you that in-depth knowledge and that insider knowledge almost that you wouldn't get from a textbook, right? From people who've been there, done that. And at the end, there is the option, you don't have to, but you can then apply to do your own pitch at the end, which is in the last week of November or first week of December, where you then, that is the Dragon Den style, basically, where you are in front of a panel of funders from the industry and from the Scottish government, I think it was last year, who provide quite a substantial amount of funding. So I think last year they had in total about £30,000 of funding available. The number one, the biggest prize for the best pitch, I think they get £5,000, which is also a lot of money. I would have liked to get a bit of funding for my idea, but I wasn't successful. But the feedback I got from my students in my global, in my strategic innovation management course, they said it was really a good practice for them also to see how different courses are linked in with their with the practice. And that's also often a challenge for universities, right? That we are in our ivory towers and we teach some abstruse old theories and we don't know about practice. But I think, as I said before, the advantage not only of the global innovation challenge, but also of the many contacts that Edinburgh Business School has with the industry, with practice, and that gives students the opportunity to basically apply their theories and their knowledge and go on to do better things in the future.
Absolutely. And important to note as well, many students, when they study their business course, may not have done that because it's mostly academic. You know, to have that hands-on approach is great. Shai, I'm just going to come to you quickly as well. It feels like so long ago, but we opened up the panel talking about AI and the importance of ChatGPT Go and other providers as well. There was one question that came in that was specifically asking about whether or not your personal statement should be guided via AI platforms, whether that's the right thing to do, whether you should use it as a tool and use it to aid you, or whether you would stay clear of that.
I wouldn't say guided by, but you can advise.
Yeah.
It can be advised, and sooner or later, it will happen. But at the end of the day, even if you have a personal statement, eventually you will need to stand in front of a human being, a person, and defend it, just like a viva.
Yeah.
And there are no lies there. There are no masks there.
I agree.
You will be traced.
I totally agree. And, Shai saying it as it is there, and I'm quite pleased that he did. There's a lot of people that will watch it, especially international students who maybe your English isn't as good. Don't worry, use it to help
My
you.
English is not perfect. It's fine.
Doesn't need to be, does it? Yeah, it doesn't need to be. So as long as you match the requirements, the IELTS scores, whatever it might be, and remember, Heriot Watt are there to help you. Get in touch. Krista, if I can come to you on a final point, I think one of the biggest areas of growth when it comes to business related courses is business analytics, data analytics in particular. We're seeing a huge surge at the moment in various different industries using analytics, even sporting teams and sporting events using analytics, and it's become such a key feature on many people's businesses now. Are you seeing, as a result of that, a huge international surge in the amount of people looking to come to Edinburgh to study business data analytics in particular?
Yeah, thanks for the question, Gareth. And I mean, that's very true that there's been a massive surge just in the need for skills as well, and people who have skills who can actually use those data analytics skills, and people to be trained up in it. But more than just, you know, learning some of the tools and some of the software, but learning it in a holistic manner. And I think that's something that's critical and something we do here at Heriot Watt, and specifically in that program as well. We don't just teach you how to implement some business analytics skills or how to work with data, how to clean it, and how you can pick out certain features, but it's about what do you get from it? How can that data-driven analytics actually get to a point where we can make good decisions within a company? If you're looking at becoming a consultant and in management, you know, what does it mean? So again, bringing that human factor in, and we have seen a great surge in our numbers, especially from a global cohort of students. I think there's a great number of different nationalities represented in our classes. And we see that every year. The minority might be from only UK specific or Scotland specific. It's amazing to see this number of different nationalities come together. And I think we learn also from each other. I think different countries also apply analytics in different ways. So it's incredible how, as a cohort and as a class, if we talk about a certain topic, and we can look at examples of companies applying it. We can look at UK examples, but you can also look at examples of companies in India or in Africa. So really expand that, and that helps us get a better perspective on it as well.
Super, Krista. Thank you very much. The three of you are going to wrap things up just because of time. We've gone over the hour mark now, so I don't want to go on for too long. Just a reminder, anyone that is watching, anyone that's watching on demand, if you are looking for a January start date, Heriot Watt Business School are still taking on students. If you're an international student, the deadline is the 6th of December. If you're looking for, as a UK domestic student, you've got until the 20th of December also. January start date, you still get the same amount of credits, same amount of educational time, academic eyes as well. So please don't worry about any of that. If you have got any questions, we will be sending you links via Heriot Watt, how to apply for scholarships, how to find out more information about the dedicated courses that the three academics have very kindly spoken about. That will be coming to your email over the next few days, and we look forward to seeing you again soon. But Krista, Shai, and Stefan, thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you again very soon. Thank you.